It all began quietly, like any other day in the life of billionaire entrepreneur Alexander Kane. At the height of his empire, he disappeared without a trace. For 400 days, no one knew where he went, or if he was even alive. The world watched, speculated, and wondered if the richest man on earth had vanished forever. Then, just as suddenly as he was gone, he returned. And with him came a secret story the world could barely believe. Alexander Kane's disappearance was sudden. One moment he was conducting board meetings, signing multi-million-dollar deals, and managing an empire that touched every corner of the globe. The next, every phone call went unanswered. Emails returned empty. Even the most loyal staff found themselves locked out of his private systems. Panic spread quietly, like ripples in a pond, as rumors began to circulate about the billionaire's fate. No one could have predicted what lay behind those 400 days of silence. For 400 days, Alexander Kane existed in shadows. No one knew where he was, how he survived, or why he vanished. Conspiracy theories ran wild. Some whispered of secret islands, hidden labs, even corporate betrayals. Every message he left behind was cryptic, seemingly hinting at plans that no one could understand. But for Kane, every moment of isolation was deliberate, a calculated step toward a return that would shock the world and redefine his empire. While the world speculated, Kane built his sanctuary. Hidden from satellites and cameras, he crafted a network of secure communications and safe havens. Every movement was calculated, every supply meticulously tracked. He learned patience in isolation, strategy in silence, and planning in solitude. It was not exile, it was preparation. And when he emerged, the world would see a man transformed, more powerful than they had ever imagined. Rumors grew. The media, investors, and rivals all questioned Kane's disappearance. Corporate boards were in chaos, stock prices fluctuated wildly, and competitors attempted to capitalize on his absence. Yet Kane remained invisible. No interviews, no messages, no leaks. And yet, in the shadows, he was orchestrating his return. Every move calculated, every detail perfected. When he returned, it would be decisive, undeniable, and unforgettable. And then it happened. Without warning, Kane reappeared in the public eye. Stock markets paused. Headlines screamed. Investors and rivals alike were stunned. The man who had vanished for over a year now walked back into the world, calm, collected, and seemingly untouchable. But behind the calm exterior was a mind that had been sharpened in isolation, a strategy forged in silence, and a plan that would shift the balance of power forever. Alexander Kane's return stunned everyone, but few understood the magnitude of what he had achieved in isolation. Over 400 days, he had not only survived, but had meticulously designed a strategy that no rival could anticipate. His disappearance was a chess move, every day calculated, every moment leveraged. Now, as he re-entered the world, every decision he made, every word he spoke, carried the weight of months spent in preparation, shaping the fate of his empire. The world began to notice subtle shifts. Stock prices surged, rival companies faltered, and whispers of Kane's miraculous strategy spread. Analysts scrambled to decipher his moves, but every step Kane took had been rehearsed in isolation, every reaction predicted. While the media speculated wildly, Kane worked quietly behind the scenes, pulling strings, forging alliances, and preparing for a public reveal that would leave everyone in awe of his ingenuity. As Kane re-emerged, old rivals scrambled to counter his influence. They attempted hostile takeovers, media campaigns, and public pressure. But Kane had anticipated every move. Months of meticulous observation from his isolation had given him an almost prophetic insight into human behavior, business trends, and global markets. The man who had vanished was now untouchable, not by force, but by intelligence, foresight, and a vision that extended far beyond immediate gains. Kane's return also revealed the human side of his journey. Reports surfaced of the extreme isolation, the mental challenges, and the countless nights spent planning in solitude. No one could see the hours of self-reflection, the strategies rewritten, the risks calculated. Yet it was these unseen moments that forged the mind capable of returning from disappearance, not as a man broken, but as a force reshaping the rules of the world around him. Finally, Kane's strategy reached its climax. Investors marveled, rivals conceded, and the world watched in awe. The man who disappeared for over a year was no longer a mystery, but a legend. Every decision, every calculation, every silent day of preparation had led to this singular moment. Kane had proven that time in isolation was not lost, but weaponized. His reemergence had changed the game forever, leaving the world to wonder what he would do next. As Kane's influence grew, whispers of his disappearance and survival strategy became legend. Journalists, analysts, and industry insiders tried to piece together the 400-day gap, yet every clue seemed intentionally orchestrated. The world was left guessing. Had Kane simply vanished, or had he been building a blueprint for domination unseen by anyone else? His return blurred the line between genius and myth, and every move he made now carried an air of inevitability. Kane's competitors attempted to capitalize on his absence, yet every attempt was anticipated. He had spent his days observing, predicting, and modeling outcomes in isolation. Each calculated move upon his return seemed effortless, almost supernatural. No boardroom, no negotiation, no market trend could catch him off guard. Kane's disappearance had not been a retreat, it had been preparation, and now the world was witnessing the payoff of meticulous strategy executed with unerring precision. Kane's personal life remained a mystery. Few knew of the mental resilience required to survive over a year of isolation. Each day was a battle against doubt, fatigue, and the unseen pressure of future decisions. Yet it was in this solitude that Kane forged the mind of a visionary, someone capable of seeing connections, risks, and opportunities that others could not. The world witnessed not just a businessman, but a strategist whose silence had become his greatest weapon. Global media began to track Kane obsessively. Every statement, every meeting, every slight gesture was dissected. Yet Kane remained composed, unbothered, executing decisions with a calm precision that belied the chaos swirling around him. The man who had vanished was no longer just a businessman. He had become a symbol of strategic mastery, a testament to the power of patience, foresight, and relentless planning. Observed by the world with a mix of awe and fear, Kane's strategic advantage was rooted not just in knowledge, but in anticipation. He had used his isolation to simulate responses, predict outcomes, and develop contingency plans no rival could match. The 400 days had been a crucible, and he emerged not only unbroken but fortified, capable of navigating challenges others could barely comprehend. The man who vanished had returned as a mastermind, rewriting the rules of business and human ingenuity. As the world adapted to Kane's reemergence, even the most seasoned rivals hesitated. Each move he made was deliberate, calculated, and almost impossible to predict. Markets shifted, alliances formed and dissolved, and new opportunities emerged that only he could exploit. Kane had transformed his 400-day disappearance into a strategic advantage, leaving a trail of astonishment and respect. The world had witnessed not a return, but the rise of a legend whose foresight redefined what was possible. Behind Kane's calculated moves lay months of research, simulated scenarios, and meticulous planning. His isolation had been a crucible, shaping both mind and strategy. Every obstacle that had emerged during his disappearance became a lesson applied upon his return. Rivals underestimated him, analysts misread him, and yet every decision he made further cemented his dominance. Kane had turned invisibility into influence, silence into authority, and absence into power that reshaped industries overnight. With his calculated re-entry complete, Kane had reshaped perceptions and power structures alike. What once was a story of disappearance became a masterclass in strategy, patience, and foresight. His 400 days of silence now seemed like a carefully orchestrated overture to a grand symphony. The world watched, mesmerized by the precision and audacity of a man who had vanished, only to return stronger, smarter, and untouchable. Kane's legacy was no longer about business. It was about redefining the art of strategic mastery itself. Kane's journey from disappearance to dominance serves as a reminder. Even in silence, preparation can turn the tides of destiny. What he achieved in 400 days of isolation redefined the rules of strategy and influence. But the story is far from over. New challenges, new rivals, and new opportunities await, and the next chapter promises to be even more remarkable. Stay tuned, because the world has only begun to witness the genius of Kane's methodical mastery.